This week I want to share with you a tip that's right out of the real world, and it's when not to go directly home. Hi, I'm Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. The things I'm going to share with you about when you go directly home or when you don't go directly home initially are going to sound like common sense to you, but I'm going to tell you why they're not necessarily common sense. And in fact, this just recently came up where someone had a problem with it, and I'll tell you about that. Number one, do not go directly home if you're being followed. Wow. This is just one of those things that you would think you just instinctively know, but the reality is people don't know this, they don't understand this, they think maybe it's their imagination, or they're just trying to get to a safe place. This is the objective that they started with, and they are not prepared to shift their mindset in order to get to some place that's better to go. But you don't want to be followed home. You don't know the person following you, what their intents are. It's certainly not for your best interest, certainly I'm sure of that, and so you don't want to bring them right to where you live. Another time not to be that you don't want to go directly home is when you think you're being followed. Again, don't dismiss this. If you think you're being followed, go to a different location, someplace safe, someplace in public. It used to be that you could go through a drive-through window at a fast food restaurant and ask them to call the police for you if you had to, but nowadays everybody's got cell phones. You probably have access to being able to call the police yourself. But do not go directly home if you even think you're being followed. The third situation, you may not, this can get you, and this is the one that came up the other day, and why I'm mentioning it, is because after there's an incident or a problem, don't go directly home. Now, this happened with someone who had a road rage incident, and I think that they were just worked up and intense, and they didn't really kind of realize until they got home that they had been followed home. Again, it's this bit of being wrapped up in this anger. They're not normally in this circumstance. They probably were more the victim than the perpetrator, and certainly being followed home makes you more of a victim than a perpetrator. So they just weren't prepared. But the important thing is, after an incident, any kind of incident, a conflict or problem, don't necessarily go directly home. At least make sure you're not being followed. The warning, the thing that catches people off guard with this, and this is what I want to plant in your mind so you can understand. If you say, well, I would never do this, this would never happen to me, and maybe it wouldn't. If you're watching this, I'd like to think you're the type of person it wouldn't happen to, but you're going to have clients and people that you advise, so you should know about it. And there's a thing, if I remember correctly, the psychological phrase for it is normalcy compliance. But the idea of it is that in dramatic and traumatic experiences, people tend to go into an ordinary manner of what they were doing as a coping mechanism. And so this is why when a plane has a rough landing, a crash landing, a water landing, people still get up from their seats and reach up into the overhead bins to get their luggage like nothing's going on, like this is just what I do. So there's this psychological element that can kick in, especially if you're not aware of it. I want you to be aware of it so that you're safe and that you can help and advise your clients appropriately. This is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.